All right, everyone. Welcome to game number 2 in our best of 5 series between Rhahi and Deathtacticus. Deathtacticus taking game number 1 on a medium-sized map, which now has been changed to small. Thankfully, neither of our players seemed to even notice the first time around, so hopefully it was all right. Pippyhead is still here with me.
Indeed.
There's no
Chemicals and
scientist.
power, making Scavenger look really tasty.
Yeah, I'm really tempted by Scavenger. Just kind of glancing around the map. It's really what I want to be. Now, the interesting thing is, aluminum is super awkward this game, so I'm kind of hoping we see a pretty early found here on top of all this aluminum. Because
That's Nomad.
Alright, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So DT is going to go for the scav location. He was potentially ready for that aluminum to get crushed. I'm sure he'll figure things out. Did he get his buy done? He did.
He did. Rhahi did not.
Yeah. Rhahi, it looks like just a little bit slow on that buy. She went ahead and grabbed the electronics rather than the aluminum. I'm not sure about that decision.
And
I think
you
it might
need
have been
the
better.
electronics to upgrade. And
You do. But you grab the aluminum, right? You know that you've just made it so your opponent can't take aluminum, like, at all, on the entire map. And so you do the buy really quick, then you let them do the buy to get the upgrade, then you sell down, and you've got more than enough for your electronics. And I don't know. I'm not sure about it.
Now, there is something to be said that, Rhahi does have to put down 2 bases to Deathtacticus as 1. So maybe
That's
he
true.
just couldn't get fast enough before, because DT is instant on that aluminum buy. So, and he was instant to found as soon as Rhahi put down that first HQ. So
That is a fair point. So both players have access to our black market at this point, but neither of them making a huge amount of money right now. Nobody's in the lucrative market that is chemicals. And let's see, DT I think has a major advantage though. There he is. Yeah, there he is. He's
that's
got
some
2
good
chems.
money.
That's going to be some really good money. I think he's going to be set up in a really strong spot off of those. Rhahi just now getting into chems. And you can see she's having trouble with it.
Mid-game.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I really think DT's in a great spot here because HQ2, he's going to get down those chems. That's going to be fine because he's got the carbon to support them. HQ3, he's going to be able to easily just slide into power. And that's combined with the fact that he's getting cheap upgrades. Rhahi also getting cheap upgrades in terms of the electronics price, but it'd be such a big difference.
Literally all of the money in order to get down that EMP.
Feels good though. DT went with a claim purchase for his first black market, and I don't know if that was correct. Oh, he's already moving into wind turbine, so that's what that was about. Yeah, he wanted to go ahead and get the double wind turbine down right now.
Yeah. I love the water combo into the wind turbine later. Yeah, very nice.
Every time I look at Rhahi's base, she's building new buildings, and I'm really concerned about that.
Yeah, those used to be 3 aluminums, and now they're,
Yeah. Now there are 2 chem refineries, and I swear there was a chem refinery coming up on this medium aluminum earlier, and
if DT does anything, he'll build electrolysis reactors and hold the fuel price against Rhahi, shutting her out.
yeah, he should be in a really good spot to do that. He can also do, like, the same thing with carbon. Honestly, if I'm in this spot as DT, I may genuinely be looking at, can I just build a hack array on HQ3? Is that possible? Can I just start playing around with that right now? Or do I have to go ahead and hit 4 first? Because look at how much money he's going to be making. So much off these wind turbines and chem refineries and reactors for this stage of the game.
Another claim for Deathtacticus and buying into the steel for the shortage. For more wind turbines.
Sure, why not?
He's making money off power. Rhahi is getting into solar panels now.
It's interesting to me that he has not made any effort whatsoever to defend his wind turbines, and he's not going to be able to. If Rhahi would like to, she will be able to disable them with an EMP very easily.
She technically has the money. I'd also be worried about these solar panels. They're, well, vulnerable, if you will.
They are indeed pretty vulnerable, which means Rhahi, it looks like, went ahead and bought a goon squad. Interesting positioning on that, dropping it on the reactor. These buildings are switching again. I mean, it's understandable. There's a chem surplus, but still, it's painful to see you having to swap buildings so much this early in the game, and DT just steaming on ahead. 10,000 up over Rhahi, with plenty of extra claims purchased as well. I believe he's picked up 2 to Rhahi's 0. Count on that the additional claim he had from founding second, and things are looking real bad for Rhahi.
The steel scavenger is on the table.
That is happening. Well, I mean, there was a steel shortage. It's on the table. You may as well make some money, right? Another more.
Two in a row, in fact.
Yeah.
And
Plenty
these are
of steel
completely
shorting.
natural.
Yeah. That's pretty special. And with an iron surplus, which is just, we're throwing all kinds of random events at these players that they're going to have to deal with this game, apparently.
And they're all in DT's favor. Every single one of them.
DT finally picking up his second aluminum tile. I mean, Rhahi could make steel pretty easily. She really, really wanted to.
From iron from where?
No, she doesn't need iron. Iron's cheap. You just buy iron.
Well, the second DT sees the steel mills go down, you know that iron price is not going to be so low.
That's why she buys like 300 iron ahead of time, and then you just sit there on it, right? You call it good.
The farms are sometimes not working because they're out of water.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, here you go.
Right.
HQ4. So Rhahi's going to be looking to secure a little bit more water, probably, on this level. She's still stuck in these reactors, which she's actually building an additional reactor.
Despite the... Yeah, they're negative.
I mean, I definitely want to get into this aluminum, right? That looks really nice, grabbing this aluminum right now, but I'm not so sure about sticking to these reactors. These are not looking particularly pleasant. We could instead be making...
Glass?
Maybe some... Yeah, I mean, you could do glass. I'd kind of lean food myself. All right, she's going into a third farm, at least. I don't know. I don't know. It's all sketchy to me. Maybe even just return it and get that pleasure dome down, you know?
Right. Does have 4 returns. Could be used anywhere.
Except on those goon squads.
I suppose so.
What do you mean you suppose so? You can't use return a claim on goon squad.
Really?
It's just not possible. Yeah, you're not allowed to, because you're like, you defended that tile. You've got it. You're sticking to it. I guess it's like insurance partially against the player, just getting rid of their own tile. Maybe a little bit of a mistime on that EMP. You can pretty easily cancel out of all these farms if you really want to. Maybe switch them out for the reactors. But it looks like DT is just going to stick into it anyway. Oftentimes what you like to do there is let it run for just a hair longer. Let like one of the buildings finish up. And then your opponent's put in kind of an awkward situation of whether or not they want to cancel and actually lose some legitimate resources there. DT, Patent Lab again. With the Rubik's Cube. Look, this is still like my favorite part of pretty much any DLC that's ever happened in this game. If I'm being entirely honest with you.
I kind of like the swing music of the Pleasure Dome.
No, that's fair. I'll give you that too. But I really like the Rubik's Cube that solves itself in order to learn patents. Thinking machines immediately. Oh yeah, I guess we're looking at pretty decent Offworlds. And ooh, but Rhahi's actually going to get to 5 first.
Oxygen seems to be the launch. Yeah, we have Rhahi with the aluminum...
Yeah, it's the aluminum. Yeah.
Another steel short.
Soren. Soren, I know you're out there. What's happening?
That is some RNG. That is some RNG.
I mean, DT scrapped out of it. Now he's just going into farms. So this is what I'm talking about with Rhahi, though. So she is going into extra farms, but she's still in these reactors. And I really don't like the reactors right now. I mean, water's already kind of precarious, and that means you've got 8 buildings down that are going to be consuming water, while your opponent also has 8 buildings down that are going to be consuming water. It just it feels bad to me.
For both these players, the only thing these reactors are doing are just churning through debt in a weird way.
Yeah.
Right.
And not very much debt.
Exactly. They're just canceling out the oxygen costs and the fuel costs, which just costs water and power. It's very strange for both these players.
Well, 3 seconds until Thinking Machines is going to be finished on up. Let's see, it's Dynamite this time instead of Mutinies. Obviously, Thinking Machines still potentially quite potent. Rhahi does go ahead and start on that Pleasure Dome now that we're up at HQ5. That's going to be making some decent money once it's online. Obviously, there's no expansive this game, but still, 166 is not the worst tile on this map by a fair margin. And look, it might be the best tile on the map, I'm just saying.
DT hogging the electronics, but I guess he saw the electronics short coming, huh? Yeah,
that's probably what it is. It's just like, oh, short's coming. And DT, being a good player, pays attention to that sort of thing. And so he'll go ahead and respond to it with his little scavenger bonus that nobody ever remembers exists, because pretty much only players up at this level actually can manage to exploit it correctly. Carbon scrubbing for 32,000. I like that for DT. Why not? Why not? I think that was worth quite a lot. He had no
And
debt, right?
Right now, he actually has no carbon production, right? So,
Yeah. Details, right?
I mean, yeah.
And his opponent, of course, has very bad carbon production, so that's also
I would expect
important.
this nanotechnology to come down any second for DT.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised he hasn't started it already, to be honest. Maybe it's just that he wanted to get to that upgrade, but he's not having trouble finding money, so I do find it a little weird. This patent lab's just sitting here idle. He's clearly focused on other things at the moment. So more water production coming down. Don't really like that, but we'll see how it goes for him. Pleasure Dome is fine, and nanotech finally does get started for DT. Back into the elemental quarries for the carbon. That's all fine. These reactors, man.
Electronics for Rhahi, there were other better buildings, but, you know, that's okay.
I think that was partially in response to the shortage that was happening. Maybe not understanding that, like, DT had a lot of them bought up and it wasn't actually quite that good. And, you know, that kind of thing can trip you up sometimes.
I suppose it's possible. Glass kilns get frozen. So the silicon.
So, I'm a little concerned about Rhahi because I haven't really seen the late game from Rhahi yet. We've got one optimization center, and sure, we've seen that one optimization center can matter. But we've also seen situations like last game where it just wasn't anywhere near enough to make a difference in actually pulling off the victory. Meanwhile, DT, with this patent lab down, I can see a more clear route here forming, right? He's got thinking machines. He's going to have nanotech with carbon scrubbing. That really opens up the Offworld for him and allows him to finish up the game.
Launches.
Yeah, exactly. And so I see his path. I see his plan, I think. And I know what he's up to. Meanwhile, Rhahi, I haven't seen the transition. We're only just now seeing the Pat Lab come down from her. So I guess we'll see what she wants to do with that.
Well, it's not going to be teleportation. And it's not going to be a lot of the other things. Virtual reality,
exactly.
superconductor. I mean,
we can do that. I mean, what are we going to see?
There's really a lot left.
She has superconductor queued up once again, so I guess we'll see what happens with that. Power's still not all that interesting, and of course she still has a geotherm down off elsewhere on the map, so... Well, we're going superconductor one more time. Let's have to see what combos with that. I probably would have been more tempted by virtual reality myself, but...
Yeah, or geothermal borehole, which is now up for auction, given that she has the geo.
Yeah, but it's like way out there, and borehole itself not all that interesting unless you can use it.
They actually bid on the auction this time.
She did go ahead and pick it up for 7,000. It was probably about worth it. Now my question is, if you bid for geothermal borehole in this situation, why didn't you bid for teleportation last time?
I know. And it's exactly the same time, you know, so it's the $7,000 auction.
It is, it is. That D-debt for Rhahi is a bit of a concern. Maybe this is part of what's driving the superconductor decision, is this concern about debt, but power's just not healthy enough to really save you on its own. You're going to have to put some actual cash into that. And oh boy, I never liked the double farms this late in the game. I saw a discussion about that on Discord earlier, and I was like, no, it's actually terrible. I don't even want to hear it. It's just so bad. You're not making any money on these things.
It's just keeping the debt away, that's it.
That's all it gets done. Well, we'll see how it goes. Rhahi does have a cash advantage still, which cannot be discounted. I think a lot of that is because, of course, DT has put so much cash into picking up all these patents.
Yeah, plus another 20k due to the stock.
Yeah. Which is, it's certainly nice, but you can see it's just a slim advantage, and now it's completely disappeared as she probably picked up, like, an optimization or a patent or something along those lines.
They're both looking, their resources are looking like an Offworld. Both of them.
Yeah, they're both setting up for it pretty clearly. Maybe Rhahi will finally get rid of these electrolysis reactors and drop an Offworld under one of them.
And they both have the hologram saved up to be sneaky about it, too.
Ooh. Arguably a bit of a misposition. I don't think it's even arguable. I'm just going to straight up call that a bad positioning on that optimization center out of Deathtacticus. He does have thinking machines, and when you put down a building like the optimization center, you like to take advantage of the patents that you picked up.
Mm-hmm.
Just small detail once again.
Well,
let's see. DT, he still has those 3 water claims, right? Yeah, he's still operating on the 3 water claims. I never liked the 3 water claims, personally. But it seems to be working out okay for him.
Food buy for DT, which seems reasonable.
Alright, so slant drilling is what Rhahi was really interested in picking up. And this is why I don't like the 3 water claims, usually. Because you can just grab like slant drilling and maybe an optimization or two, and you're going to be in a great spot, and you didn't have to spend a whole extra claim for it.
And, well, the first hacker array on the map after the Offworlds are already down.
Yeah, it's a little bit strange. Oftentimes you'll see a hacker array a little sooner. Like, arguably, it could have been used for glass quite effectively earlier in the game in particular. Maybe try and use it with chems effectively when your opponent's doing researchy things, and you can hack those chems up and make chems yourself.
It seems a little cheap, only 32k for this, given that building it costs 10k and then the claim costs 16k.
Yeah, but Rhahi's in an absurd amount of debt. I mean,
true.
She just
can't afford it.
Yeah, it's just about affording it, and
can't
she's
risk
definitely not in that spot.
Offworld getting targeted, huh?
Yeah,
Of course,
that would be.
The hologram to defend it has not gone down.
Well, I guess you're not worried about the hologram for the time being. Maybe your hologram is focused on that second Offworld, right? Your opponent should expect you to have one, but maybe they aren't going to be sure that you're going to build two, so you use the hologram for that one instead.
It seems reasonable. Has the electronics is currently selling down the glass for it, though.
So now that these are finally up, we can see we're still looking at 43k launches for both the oxygen and the food for the time being.
That's some good money.
That is some good money. Optimization center. A second optimization center from Rhahi.
Of course, you know, when the hacker array you buy... Oh, there, it finally goes on the oxygen shortage. There we go.
Well, another big concern I have for Rhahi, by the way, is that she's had this one carbon tile working this entire time. Looks like she finally just returned a solar panel. Where'd she put that? That went onto iron. Wanted to open up that iron resource. I can understand that since it looks like your opponent's hacking iron at this point and definitely has access to it. But I really would have liked to see another carbon tile come down at some point this game. Fight over that market a little bit more effectively.
Especially when she lost the carbon scrubbing.
Yeah, that was a really big deal. A really big moment, in my opinion.
And even use the slant drilling on DT's carbon and swap out of her own carbon for the cost of slightly more fuel, I suppose.
So don't really like the fact that these dynamites are landing on things like this pleasure dome, rather than maybe making a bit of an effort to break through here. I guess you've just given up on fighting over the Offworld that much. But if you're in that position, I don't really see how you end up winning this game, and Rhahi's Offworld market finally
explodes.
Yep.
The very awkward situation where they both have 100% for a majority buy, and just refusing to buy that last stock to defend themselves.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you've got good players, right? They know that they don't have to make that purchase, and so they're simply not going to, while they can use that money to do other things, like get up Offworld markets and get optimizations going, and so on and so forth from there. It is also nice,
you know, when you can have that percentage number, just so you sort of get a relative idea of how much money they currently have, right? By buying into that last stock, you no longer get to see that money. You no longer get to see that number.
That's fair. Well, things are still looking really good for DT. I don't know how else to say it.
Indeed.
Rhahi's had this debt problem the entire game that she's never really managed to sort out. She's just been one step behind since around HQ4, with DT making the move into the patent lab. Rhahi got up to 5, but wasn't able to get a whole lot done with it. Still wasn't able to push to the Offworlds ahead of time. So DT, he was securing tech in order to support his Offworlds, and then still won the race to the Offworlds themselves. And at that point on this Martian map, as Rhahi, things have been looking really, really grim.
Rhahi does have the massive optimization advantage, but it's just not going to be enough here.
Yeah, well, and we've seen 2 games in a row she's made this move into big optimizations. While optimizations certainly have mattered, and mattered arguably even more in the first game, they just have not been enough to make up for what she's been giving up in order to get all of this done. There hasn't been maybe a hacker array to go with them and try and force prices a little bit more effectively. And the optimizations themselves just not making enough money, because once those Offworlds come online, the game ends very quickly before the prices really start to catch up to the Offworld.
Yep, that generally tends to be the case. The defensive hacker array play, despite not actually having any electronics down for Rhahi, Not quite sure what that was about. I'm gonna lower the price of electronics, says DT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just felt like, hey, this is a market. I don't need it. Get it out of here. I don't know.
Carbon shortage was canceled for food shortage.
Sure, why not? Food shortage. I mean, you've frozen your opponent's farms out.
Mm-hmm.
They're launching Offworld. You're launching Offworld, but your farms aren't frozen, so maybe it's all right. And either way, you're sitting pretty as DT right now. You feel like you're in a fairly confident position. Now it's a water shortage, which is also going to do absolutely nothing. But at least DT's trying. I mean,
Yeah, he's trying to move it around.
Now,
There's no spy, so Rhahi doesn't know that DT is doing this.
yeah, that DT is accomplishing effectively nothing. That iron eventually got returned, by the way. So maybe the move for DT, if he wanted to make more use of this, was to get back into steel and start going nuts on that with the hacker array. Either way, things are still looking pretty great from him. He's having trouble making money right now. After he got frozen out for a while, he had to make some transitions. But once the Offworlds are
this could be
get their
huge.
next launch, what are we looking
Water
at?
shortage completes. Rhahi has the large stockpile of water. If DT buys into this water,
Oh, he could immediately lose the game, and it would be absolutely hilarious. Well, I don't know about immediately. He still has a very large cash advantage right now, but it doesn't look like he's making the risk of buying into that water shortage just at the moment.
see if he remembers when it finishes here. No, he's just... DT did buy in, and Rhahi did sell out.
But just
But just
a small amount.
negligible quantities.
Yeah. Completely irrelevant quantities, unfortunately. So
DT then sells out of his own stockpile and junks the price on Rhahi instead of the other way around.
we did combo this with some pirates, I suppose. So that's something, I guess. I mean, black market's gotten pretty pricey. There were not a whole large number of tools to get aggressive with this game. Pirates and magnetic storms both, of course. But not being used very much, unfortunately. Teleportation will do that in 1v1s, I suppose. 62,000 on that food launch right now, by the way. DT takes game number 2 to go up 2-0 in our best of 5. Yep. Pretty straightforward from him. I think we've seen... I mean, that was basically the same strategy as last game. Just switching up the details of it based on the faction that he was playing.
I love these auto-off farm situation of DT's base. It's just like I have 7 farms, 5 of them are off, but
it doesn't matter because 62,000. Just throwing that number out there, 62,000 on that launch. That's a good launch. That's a good launch.
$1,000 a
That's a
second.
good launch. You know, it's fine. Told you you're going to win a lot. Well, Rhahi, he hasn't won enough yet.
Has to win one more.
Has to win one more. So let's go ahead and see if he's going to pull that off.